Hi, I welcome you all to the Zoho Finance Masterclass. I am Rajeshri and I will be your speaker for this webinar. This masterclass is a series of webinars that will help the users get the most out of the Zoho Finance suite. Zoho Finance is a suite comprising of financial products such as books, invoice, expense, inventory, subscriptions, and checkout, which aids businesses in their entire back office operations. We have now started off with Zoho Books, continued by webinars on all the other products in future. Now, what is Zoho Books? Zoho Books is an online accounting software that helps small and medium business owners to manage their receivables and payables, track inventory, and maintain financial reports. The course structure for the Masterclass series has started off from setting up your Zoho Books account to setting up your payment gateway. The topic for today would be generating business reports with Zoho Books. The topics 1 to 10 have been covered in the earlier webinars, for which you can watch the recorded version. Let's get started with today's topic. We will be looking at how reporting is done in Zoho Books and its importance. We will then move on to understand the dashboard components, followed by a detailed study of various reports in Zoho Books. We will also look at other features like customization, scheduling of reports, and usage of reporting tags. Finally, we will see how to integrate Zoho Books with Zoho Reports and the benefits of using Zoho Reports for our business. Now, what are reports? Reports are a formal record of the various financial activities that take place in a business. They consolidate data to give an overall picture of the business activities. Reports in general have to be accurate, and reporting in Zoho Books is error-free due to automatic generation of reports. The reports show the business facts as it is in the records and has no room for manipulation. Reports give us that information we require at the end of all business activities. The information is duly extracted from the data in the records. All reports have a time period associated with them. This time period can be adjusted as per our wish and requirements in Zoho Books. Zoho Books has an extensive set of reports which will help us understand the financial position of the business. Also, there is the possibility of using the Zoho Reports add-on, which will help us access specific financial metrics and reports on our business data. Let's move on to the dashboard. The dashboard is essentially the first thing we would see once we log into our Zoho Books account. Also, this gives a bird's eye view of what is going on in our business on a day-to-day basis. It fetches real-time data from business transactions and shows us the following components such as total receivables. This part gives us the current receivables and the overdues. I require this to keep a check on my customer overdues. The next component gives us the total payables. It shows the current as well as our overdues to our vendors. I make sure to pay my bills on time and keep the overdues to a minimum. The next section gives a timeline of cash flows in our business. This is important to me as a business owner to see which of those months are a little off season and also to know the month-wise cash flows. As we scroll down, we will see the income and expense section. This is really important to keep a check on our expenses. As you can see here, the expenses are exceeding the income, which is not a good sign. Now, to see on what we spend the most, we have the top expenses section, which clearly illustrates the various areas where we incur a lot of expenses in the form of a pie chart. Projects, as we all know, extend for long periods of time, and we must keep track of them on a daily basis. That is exactly why we have the project section here, which shows us the projects we are handling and how much of it is completed. Last but not the least, we must always keep a tab on our bank account balances to avoid untoward situations. When handling a lot of transactions, it becomes hard to track our money in the bank. But we don't have to worry anymore. For we have this section here which gives us the various bank accounts we have and their account balances. But keep in mind that we can see only those bank accounts that we have synced with Zoho Books here. Now that we have seen the overview of dashboard, let us look at the reporting module in detail. The reports module in Zoho Books provides an extensive list of more than 40 reports on specific areas in the business. The reports are broadly classified under the following categories: business overview, sales, inventory, cash inflows, which have the receivables, payment received, and the recurring invoices under it, the cash outflows, which have the payables and purchases and expenses under it. This is followed by taxes, projects and timesheet, accountant, currency, and activity reports. We will now look at each of them in detail. Firstly, business overview reports. As a business owner, I am most worried about these statements as they reflect the overall financial position of my company. First of them, we have the profit and loss statement, which tells whether the business is making profits or not. This statement is essential since my stakeholders are concerned whether my business is making money or not, for which I will have to show them the P&L statement. Moving on, we have the P&L statement Schedule 3. This P&L statement is compiled as per the guidelines mentioned in the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act. It contains the necessary details that need to be disclosed as per law in the profit and loss statement. Up next, we have the cash flow statement. This statement is very important to investors to know how much cash a company has actually generated. It shows the cash inflows and outflows due to operating, investing, and financing activities. Now comes the balance sheet. This is one of the most important financial statements in a business. This statement gives the assets that the company owns, the liabilities that the company owes, and the amount invested by shareholders in the company. It gives us the financial position of our company. Finally, we have the balance sheet Schedule 3, which is compiled as per the guidelines mentioned in the Schedule 3 of the Companies Act. It contains the necessary information to be disclosed as per law in the balance sheet. Now we move on to the sales reports. These reports show the amount of sales that has occurred in the company. Here, the sales by customer reports gives the amount of sales that has occurred with each customer. This report is very important to my CRM personnel to actually identify key customers who contribute maximum to the company's sales. The sales by item report is useful to the purchase department of my company to see which items are fast moving and purchase them according to the demand. Now, the sales by salesperson report is extremely important when assessing the performance of my salespersons. I could use this as a key performance indicator and appraise my salespersons accordingly. The inventory reports give us the overall detail about the stock we have in hand. The inventory summary gives us the quantity ordered and demanded versus the quantity that we have in stock. It helps plan and order the items beforehand. Now, the inventory valuation summary provides the value of the items we have in stock. This report is equally important so that I don't buy too many high cost items and keep them stocked up. This report, called the FIFO cost lot tracking, helps us track how our stock moves. According to the first in, first out method, or in other words, the FIFO method, the items which were purchased first must be sold first. This way, we can regulate the sales of goods and not have old goods unsold for long. For more information on inventory management, refer to our past webinar in the Zoho Finance Masterclass series. Let's move on to the next set of reports under receivables. These reports handle the outstanding receivables of our company. Firstly, we have the customer balance report, which lists the total amount due for customers. This helps the CRM personnel identify customers who are constant defaulters and have dues exceeding a certain permissible limit. Up next, we have the aging summary, which helps us further identify those customers who have amount pending for a long time since their due date. Based on this, we can send reminders to our customers to pay up their dues. The next report is the aging details report, which lists those invoices which are pending for a particular period of time. This will list the invoices based on the number of days it is outstanding beyond the due date. Now, the invoice details report will show the list of individual invoices, the customer with whom it is associated, the invoice date, due date, and the amount which is due. This report gives a detailed view of those invoices which are outstanding. Now, the retainer invoice details shows a list of retainer invoices created for customers and its status. The delivery challan report shows the various challans created and their status. This is important as it shows whether we have made an invoice against a particular delivery challan or not. The sales order report shows the list of sales orders created and their status. It mentions the customer for whom it was created and the amount involved. The estimate details report is another receivables report which shows the status of the invoice, customer for whom it was made, and the amount involved. This way, we have an idea of the amount of money we are yet to receive from our customers. Moving on to the next set of reports, which is payments received. This shows the individual payments received from customers along with the corresponding invoice number. The time to get paid report is an interesting one where we might have given the advantage of paying in installments to our customers. Hence, this report shows the various customers and their time for payment and the percentage to be paid within a particular period of time. Credit note details displays the list of credit notes created for our customers and their status. Credit notes are created when customers return our products and we create credit notes for them. They could use them to purchase some other products or we could return their money as a refund. This report provides a list of all those refunds we provided for our customers. Let us move on to the recurring invoice report. This report shows us the list of recurring invoices that we have created for our customers. It shows their status, the customer for whom it was created, and their time period. You could use this report as reference and send payment reminders to your customers. We now move to the payables section of the reports. This section deals with all the money that you owe to your vendors. First up, we have the vendor balance report, which lists the various vendors and the amount you owe to each of them. The aging summary shows the time period within which you have to pay your vendors. It shows the amount to be paid to your vendors against the time schedule. The aging details shows the individual bills classified into different periods based on their age. Their age is nothing but the number of days beyond its due date. The bill details report shows a list of all bills and their status. It gives the vendors from whom those bills were purchased and their amount. The payments made to our vendors are mentioned here. It shows the account through which we have paid and also the amount. In case we have received any refunds from the vendors, those transactions are mentioned in this report. Refunds are usually given when we have returned any faulty goods back to the vendor and the vendor refunds the money back to us. The purchase orders created on behalf of the vendors are listed in this report. The order date, number, status of the purchase order, and the amount is mentioned here. The purchase orders by vendor report shows the number of purchase orders created for each vendor. This report serves as a compiled list of the proof of purchase which can be used in case of any discrepancies. Now let us move on to the purchase and expense reports. The first report gives a list of vendors and the total amount purchased from them. These reports will later on help us when we want to pay our vendors in bulk. This report shows our purchases of the individual item and the quantity. It shows the average price of the item, which will help us fix the selling price. The various expenses incurred by our organization is recorded and listed in this report. It shows the individual expense transactions incurred by our organization. This report shows the total amount of expenses under a particular expense account. Hence, we get to understand where we incur a lot of expenses. This report shows the expenses which are associated with a particular customer. Sometimes we incur expenses due to special requests by our customers. These expenses will be reported here. This report shows us the expenses incurred by us project-wise. The different projects followed by the number of expenses incurred and the total amount of expenses are mentioned in this report. These are expenses incurred by our employees due to travel they do as part of their job. These travel expenses are usually reimbursed by our company. Such expenses are recorded as mileage expenses, which are mentioned in this report. Now comes the taxes. The tax summary shows the list of taxes and the corresponding amount to be paid. It gives the taxable amount and the calculated tax amount to be paid. The tax withheld summary, or the TDS, that is tax deducted at source summary, shows the list of payees, the total amount, and the tax deducted at source. The GST 3B summary can also be generated in the reporting module of Zoho Books. This is one of the mandatory forms to be submitted by businesses registered under GST. The GSTR1, or the Summary of Outward Supplies, is another form to be submitted by businesses under GST. It is a form that must be filed for all sale transactions that happen in a business. The GSTR2, or the Summary of Inward Supplies, is another form to be submitted by businesses registered under GST. It is a form that must be filed for all purchase transactions and expenses incurred in a business. The self-invoice summary shows the purchases and expenses that have taken place with unregistered vendors where reverse charge applies. Such bills and expenses are listed in this report. The project summary gives a detailed view of all projects being carried out in our organization. This report is of utmost importance to the project managers to get an overall status of the projects. This report gives us the details of individual projects. This helps us understand the status of the project in depth and the tasks carried out. This summary gives a list of all tasks carried out with respect to the projects, their time, and the staff involved in the task. Moving on to the accounting section in reports. The first report is the account transactions report, which shows the various transactions that have taken place in an account in Zoho Books. This is used to track the transactions that happen with a particular account. The general ledger has a listing of all accounts and their debit and credit amount. This is always used as a reference by the accountant in our organization. The journal report records all the journal entries made by us and displays it here. This is similar to the journal ledger that we normally use. The trial balance is usually used to prove that the total of the debit value balances with the total of credit values. The trial balance is displayed in this section of reports. Let's move on to the currency section of reports. Firstly, we have a report on the realized gain or loss. As a company dealing with foreign currencies, there is always the risk of gain or loss due to fluctuation in exchange rates. This is recorded here. Realized gain or loss necessarily means gain or loss due to sale transactions. We then have the unrealized gain or loss report, where it shows whether the foreign currency that we have will yield a gain or loss when exchanged at the current exchange rate. We have now come to the final section in the reports module, which is the activity reports. The first report we have here is the system mails. This report shows a consolidated list of all the mail communication sent from our mail account to our customers. This will serve as a proof in case of discrepancies. The activity logs is a report which records all the activities carried out by the users of Zoho Books account. In our case, the activity of various employees or accountants in our Zoho Books account are recorded here. The exception report is a unique report which records any changes done which are not a usual occurrence. For example, changing an invoice that has been sent to a customer is not a usual occurrence. In such cases, changes are recorded along with valid reason which are recorded in this report. In this report, the customer activities in the client portal are recorded. This will show whether the customer has really seen or approved an estimate or not. This section gives a list of all ratings received from customers. It will give us an overall picture of how our customers view our service. The API usage report shows the number of API calls done by users in our Zoho Books account. This is done when we use a third-party interface to access data from Zoho Books. Let us now move on to the three most important features related to reports. They are customization, scheduling, and reporting tags. Reports can be customized based on various factors. To do so, click on Customize Reports. You could compare the report with the previous year's reports. Apart from comparing, you could also alter the time period of the reports, select the fields to be displayed, etc. Now let us see how to schedule reports to save time. Select Schedule Reports and set the start date and time, and also mention the mail IDs of people to whom you want to send it to. Next up, we have the reporting tags. Now, what are reporting tags? Reporting tags are tags used to group similar transactions and view them separately in the business overview statements. As my organization operates in various locations, I have created a reporting tag called Location and tagged them to my customers in those locations. Thus, I can see which of the cost centers contribute maximum to my business. This is done by clicking on Customize Reports and selecting the location from the drop-down list. Finally, we have the Zoho Reports add-on with us. The Reports module of Zoho Books has extensive reports for our use. In case we want advanced financial metrics, we can make use of their Zoho Reports, which is an add-on feature which can be subscribed for. You also have the free trial option to get to know more about Zoho Reports. Let us now see how to integrate with Zoho Reports. Click on the Advanced Analytics option in the Reports module. Select the required modules to be exported into Zoho Reports. Also, select the necessary fields. Schedule a time for exporting data on a day-to-day basis. Save and sync the modules. We will now be able to access our Zoho Books data in Zoho Reports account. We could use the data to access advanced financial metrics. We have now come to the end of this session, and let's have a recap. We looked at how reporting is done in Zoho Books and its importance. We then moved on to understand the dashboard components, followed by a detailed study of various reports in Zoho Books. We also looked at other features like customization, scheduling of reports, and the usage of reporting tags. Finally, we saw how to integrate Zoho Books with Zoho Reports and the benefits of using Zoho Reports for our business. I hope this session helped you clear your doubts. Thank you for joining us. If you have any queries, please feel free to get in touch with us. Also, have a look at our help document and FAQs for your reference. Thank you and have a nice day.